What's up, guys? I'm Chris Spags here, back for another showdown breakdown on tonight's Thursday night football battle between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Denver Broncos, courtesy of Awesemo.com. Tonight, we've got ourselves an AFC West battle between a defense that's looked better in the last few weeks and an offense that's hopefully going to get back to its prior glory soon. But let's get some positivity in the air, and right now, please hit that like button. And also, comment the guy you think is going to break tonight's slate down below. We had some good guesses last Monday, including the guy that actually ended up breaking the slate, Jamal Williams. So let's keep it going, and right now, hit that like button and comment your slate breaker down below. But as always, let's waste no time here in this showdown breakdown and get to the quarterbacks with Patrick Mahomes at Denver in a game in which there are 26 implied points for Kansas City. Mahomes hasn't cracked 22 fantasy points in his last 3 games, and Denver's defense has become a bit scary with a low 2% passing TD rate allowed and an 83 coverage grade from PFF, but Mahomes' floor seems likely to be high enough to roster regardless. Denver's 26.4% pressure rate has gone up significantly despite a mediocre 5.7% sack rate on the year. Mahomes remains solid under pressure with a nice 69% accuracy rate and an 87 QB rating that should improve thanks to Tyreek Hill. And on the other side, we have Joe Flacco in a game versus Kansas City in which there are 23 implied points for Denver. Flacco has been up and down on the year, but seems entirely too cheap in a game in which Denver should have to score more than usual going against the Kansas City defense that has a poor 60 pass rush grade from PFF with a low 17% pressure rate. At his price point, Flacco seems worth playing a lot of in lineups that assume Kansas City puts up points early, but he may find himself game flowed out for the run game if Denver's defense somehow holds down Kansas City's explosive offense. And let's move on to the running backs in this Thursday night football game. Let's start with LeSean McCoy and Damian Williams at Denver. LeSean McCoy seemed to seize the lead back role in a mediocre Week 6 effort with 8 carries and 2 targets, while Damian Williams had 1 carry and 1 target, and Darrell Williams had 2 targets with the most yards of the trio thanks to a 52-yard catch. Kansas City's run blocking has been bad with a 58 grade from PFF, and Denver allows just 4.3 yards per rush, so it seems tough to trust this split backfield based upon projections and the fact that any of them could achieve value on one broken play. And on the other side, we have the 2-man attack of Royce Freeman and Phillip Lindsay versus Kansas City. There's no logical reason Phillip Lindsay is cheaper than Royce Freeman with 17.2 touches per game to Freeman's 14.5, but both have been heavily involved in the offense and could have big upside together or separately against the 161.8 rushing yards per game that Kansas City allows. Kansas City's run defense receives a bad 49.2 grade from PFF, and Denver will need to bleed the clock as much as they can to keep Kansas City's offense off the field. So Freeman and Lindsay are big considerations in lineups that assume Denver's defense keeps it competitive. Now let's talk about the receivers in this showdown breakdown and start with Kansas City's receivers at Denver. Tyreek Hill could cause nightmares outside and in the slot, but he ran just 21 routes in his return to the lineup. And he needs an increase there with an unsustainable 43% target rate on routes run that makes his margins pretty narrow currently. Demarcus Robinson and Byron Pringle are pivots to Hill, who both ran more routes in Week 6, but Travis Kelce is likely the most appealing option with 8.2 targets per game and no game below 19.9 fantasy points versus Denver since 2015. And on the other side, of course, we have Denver's receivers versus Kansas City. Courtland Sutton sees 7.7 targets with 1 deep target on 34 routes per game, and he'll likely see some shots attempted whether Denver leads or they trail. It may be a time to go back to Emmanuel Sanders after he ran less routes out of the slot and outside than Deshaun Hamilton thanks to a second half knee injury in Week 6. Both players are in play alongside Noah Fant as less appealing options than Sutton, who could see more opportunity if Courtland Sutton fails. And last but not least, we have the defenses and the kickers in this game, and let's start it off with Denver's defense versus Kansas City. It would likely be a very contrarian play to go to Denver given the implied total for Kansas City, and not one to have in many entries, but Denver is a GPP consideration with only 196 passing yards per game allowed, and some positive regression in sacks and turnovers due for them overall. And then we have a less interesting Kansas City defense versus Denver. Joe Flacco's 2.6% INT rate and 7.1% sack rate aren't good, but Kansas City has been so poor in coverage, run defense, and in generating pressure that it seems unlikely they have much upside unless Flacco goes full Flacco. And as we saw on Monday night, the kickers are an important part of the conversation as well. Harrison Butker seems like a more appealing option despite a slightly higher price, with Kansas City likely able to move the ball, but capable of stalling out in the red zone, with Denver allowing 3.9 points per red zone visit, while Brandon McManus may see less work if Kansas City's run defense continues to be gashed by a Denver team who will try to find success on the ground. So there you have it. That's what I'm seeing so far for tonight's Thursday night football game between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Denver Broncos. So right now, please hit that like button and also comment the guy you think is going to break tonight's slate down below. And as is the case for all of the major showdown slates, we have more data for you if you use this promo code SWITCHANDHEDGE for half off your first month of Awesemo Plus. Go to awesemo.com/join and find packages as low as $3.95 a week. That'll give you grades on ownership projections and player projections for showdown slates just like this one. So go to awesemo.com/join and find a package that works for you. Go follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Chris Spags. I'm here with you guys doing 7 days a week of DFS content with a lot for the NFL, and even more coming up for the NBA. And of course, I also have my personal content, including my podcast on Saturdays. So check out what I'm doing right now at Chris Spags. As always, thank you guys for watching. The support does mean a bunch to me as we set some viewership records with these videos, so that really does help out. Tune in Monday for another showdown breakdown. Tune in tomorrow for Awesemo's NFL rankings. Saturday on the contrary. Sunday live before lock with my buddy Josh Engel. Engelman. So keep your eyes peeled on the channel because I've got a lot coming out. I'll see you guys again very soon, so good luck.